Learn how to use the validity range overflow property to check specifically if a user's input exceeds the maximum value allowed by an HTML max attribute. In this example, we want to look at the range overflow property. Sometimes knowing an input isn't invalid is not enough. You want to know why it is invalid. So you can give a precise response. That is, when you get an invalid response from your input, getting that invalid response is not enough if you do not actually understand or know what the precise response is. So the browser's validity state object contain a list of specific reasons, and one of that reason is range overflow. So think of it like a sensor that trips and turns true only when the user types a number that is higher than the maximum limit you set in your HTML. So let's look at an example that demonstrates this range flow property together. So let's move into the script section. And inside the script section, let's make a function. And let's call it range function, so that it can go along with the name of our topic. So inside it, let's make a variable which is going to be responsible to hold the output of errors or sources of our range flow property. So now that we've done this, so let's test using the conditional statement. If document get element by ID, let me leave this empty for now. We'll still come back to it. Dot validity range. Validity dot range overflow. Now, what should happen? Well, just save our message inside our variable text here and give us this string response, value to large. S, just return text and tell us that input OK. And now it's now time to write up to the screen. Document.get element by ID demo dot inner HTML equals to whatever the value of our text is. But right now, nothing is going to be displayed on the screen. So in order to make this work on the screen, well, let's quickly add some things in our HTML part of our code. Number one, add an input field. And inside this input field, give it an ID. Let's call it ID1. Then give it a type. Number is what we expect. Then give it a max value of like maybe say 100. Max, say 100. And then close it. So now you see what we already have on the screen. By default, let me wipe this. Now, let me now append a button. Let me add a button to this so that we can use the button to control it. And the button, just give it OK as the name. Now, give this button an ID of btn, which I have styled in my code. And now you can see how big it is now. And then give it an on-click action. And then call our function inside this range function. So if you go ahead and click OK, nothing is actually happening. But let me enter a number, 100. And look at this, nothing is happening. And that is because the ID of our input has not yet been passed down into this part of where we are using the range overflow property. So I need to pass the ID down here, ID1. And I'll go ahead this time. You can see input OK. So put something like a higher number. And you can see value too large. Put something lower than 100, input okay. Put something like 99, input okay. Put something like 0, input is still okay. Now put something like 800, then you will see value too large. What if you try to text to add a string like this? What do you think is going to happen? Well, it just accepted this, even though we are saying the type of our input is number, but it's simply basic just accept number, because it couldn't pass this text string. Then it assume it to be okay and return okay for us. So you need to be careful of what you pass into your input when working with input fields, so that you don't mistakenly enter a string where a number is required for whatever you are trying to process in your application. So this example shows us an input box with a maximum limit of 100. So when you click OK, JavaScript inspects the validity status of the input here through this ID, and then if the number you type is greater than 100, so this range overflow sensor will trigger and the page display the specific message value too large. Otherwise, it will display input OK, as we have been able to see while I was demonstrating by pressing the OK button. So here are a few key takeaways from this lesson. Number one, the validity range overflow property lets you target a specific error type exceeding the max, rather than using a generic catch-all message. Number two, the validity property opens up an entire object full of other specific checks like the range overflow for values too underflow for values too small, or value missing for empty required fields. And lastly, just like check validity method, the individual validity property results in a clean true or false boolean. So the other validity object is this range over underflow. So this is another validity object, and if a value is too small, so let's say value too small. So for this, you have something like a mean value of 100. So if you go ahead and do this, you can see put OK. But if you have something like 2, you can see value too small. And lastly, there's another one called value missing. So it's like this, value missing. So if you go ahead and then, if you use this and you click here, you can see input OK. But this is not how it's supposed to just show to you. I'm just trying to use this to explain when you don't add anything or enter anything into your input box, then she lets you know that a value is missing from what you are supposed to do. So this is how the range overflow property works in JavaScript. So let me revert back to what we had before. So range overflow. So let's test it again for the last time. So let me put 15. And I should get input OK, and 500 this time I should get value too large.